On September 2nd, there is a new moon in Virgo. Venus is sitting on the south node, and Pluto is back in Capricorn. What does this mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the new moon. It's on September 2nd. It's at 11 degrees of Virgo. We're going to do a short overview, and then we're going to go sign by sign. And as you can tell, I'm still recovering from laryngitis and COVID, and so I'm trying out this new voice. And so bear with me as we get through this. So very appropriately for me, this new moon in Virgo is about taking care of yourself. It is what you do on a day-to-day basis for your health, your well-being, and how you support yourself through processes and routines. And so perfect, as I said, for me at this time. So at the same time, Venus is sitting on the south node in Libra, and that Venus is naturally rather indulgent, and it's in its own sign, and so Venus can indulge a little too much in all of the things that are pleasurable. But sitting on the south node means that it's time to let go of some of those things, maybe because it's just too much, or maybe because actually your tastes are changing, and so things that you were doing, that you were considering to be pleasurable, maybe the downside is outweighing the positive side. And so this is maybe doing too much sitting, or too much sugar, or too much shopping, or something like that. So this is, while it's pleasurable in moderation, this is that combination that helps us let go. The other big news right now is Pluto is back in Capricorn as of September 2nd. It's going to stay there until November 19. For Pluto, that is a really quick trip because Pluto moves very, very slowly. So, but it's going to be at that last degree of Capricorn, and that, of course, the last degree of any sign is the most intense. It also is about letting go. And so we have this kind of dual letting go energy on a new moon, which is really interesting combination. This also means that if you have any planets in your chart at 29 degrees, or if you have even late degrees of Capricorn, you're getting hit by this Pluto, and it is going to encourage you to let go. By the way, if you would like a copy of your chart, there is a link in the description. I'll send you a PDF that has a lot of additional information on it, and that's that's free. This cold is making me more tongue-tied than usual. So with Pluto at 29 Capricorn, you have about 2.5 months to look at projects that you may have started as much as 20 years ago and suddenly feel quite compelled to finish them. But you also may look at things in your life because, Capricorn is an earth sign, so it's very practical. And so you may be going through closets, getting rid of stuff, going through storage units, and trying to get rid of things that just no longer serve you, that you don't want to take into the next cycle. Pluto is very good at helping us discern what is actually dead and needs to be composted in our life. And through that process of elimination, it helps us find power because we're no longer weighed down by the things that are, weighing us down. So as I said, this transit's going to last from September 2nd to about November 19, and that means you have 78 days, if my math is correct, to consider tossing out or getting rid of what you no longer need. And so you may want to just toss out one item per day, and that would mean you'd get rid of 78 items, which I know for some feels like a drop in the bucket, but in that time you are practicing letting go also, which takes us back to the new moon energy in Virgo about establishing new habits. There's one more thing that's super interesting about the chart for this new moon, and that is that Mercury at 23 degrees of Leo makes an aspect to every planet, not the luminaries, the sun and moon, but every other planet. And that's a bit unusual. And Mercury is about communication and information. And so this sort of mirrors that energy that we just had with the full moon and that double T-square, that we're just inundated with data and information. It's just too much to assimilate. And so you're going to feel this, like information is coming to you from all different directions. And it's natural to want to try to, collect information and to understand what's going on, but you may have to limit it in some way because it's just going to be too much. So in this video, we are doing tropical Western astrology. It's a good idea to listen to your rising sign. That's going to give you an accurate view of what's ahead. You can also listen to your sun sign. That will also give you some insights. And if you don't know your rising sign, I can send you a PDF of your chart. I also do readings, and so there's a link in the description, more about that if you're interested. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, when we look at this combination of the new moon in your house of work and Pluto at 29 Capricorn in your house of career, it is about looking at your career and deciding that either you're going to get really serious about your career and lean in, or if that's not possible, then to really actively start looking for something else. And because, of course, Pluto is a long transit, it will go into Aquarius in late November, that this is something where you're more making the decision now over this next couple of weeks, and then the repercussions of that decision will unfold over many months. But that's where the energy lies for you in this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun's not making an aspect with Mars, and there's some energy here because of the South Node Venus in the 7th house. So this is more about letting go. Now, that may mean letting go of a person, but more probably letting go of someone from the past so you can clear the decks for somebody new in the future, or to clear some sort of habit or something that you felt like you wanted, but maybe you don't want anymore. And so this is, there's, sorry, I'm struggling with putting my words together today. This is more about looking very, very much about what you're still holding on to before you try to grab hold of something new. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus and Mars are making an out-of-sign square. I've talked about out-of-sign aspects in the past, and basically it's something that comes up, in this case as a point of contention, but is not so easy to spot what the real problem is. So you may feel some stress around your love relationship. Because of the Venus South Node, it's just best to just walk away for the moment, or whatever that issue is. Just say, like, let's discuss it some other time, or I'm going to let this go for now. Something like that can help facilitate finding out what's really going on underneath the surface. Now, when it comes to your money derived from business or from investments, Venus is making an out-of-sign trine to Pluto and that out-of-sign square to Mars. So there is some possibilities of making a lot more money in these areas. It's not going to be quite so obvious. One of the things will be related to your presence out in the world. That's represented by the Pluto. And then the other is maybe more about mindset, thinking process, or the data that you're using to determine things. And so, like if you are looking at the data, thinking that a product or service is really bringing you profits, but when you actually do the math, it's not. And so maybe you should be leaning into something else. That's the kind of thing that we're looking at here. So some great possibilities over this next 2 weeks, but they're coming a little bit out of left field. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is not making an aspect with Uranus, nor is it making an aspect with Saturn. So it's just not really the right time to be asking about a raise. There may be some things more about letting go happening in the company. So that might mean that they are, shrinking departments or things like that. So it's not a time of expansion. It's a time of whittling down to a strong foundation of something. So that is, make sure that you are connecting with the right people, that they know how you're contributing. That can all help. Okay, Taurus, when we look at this combination of this new moon and, of course, Pluto back in Capricorn, etc., which, those are harmonious energies for you. Virgo is Earth and Capricorn is Earth and you are Earth. So there is some real opportunities, but everything here is centered around taking calculated risks and looking at how you do your daily routines and seeing if you are just digging a deeper and deeper rut for yourself where maybe it feels stable, but it is not helping you to achieve what you want because it's just digging a deeper rut. So this is about taking some steps outside of your comfort zone, doing something that's a little bit different, not pushing the chips all into the pot, but just, maybe shifting how you bet in a situation, who you talk to, how you get from point A to point B. Just making some minor changes could then bring in some big opportunities. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Venus, the new moon is actually in this area for you. So this is a great time to step out and see if you can set up a date with someone, start a conversation, just say hi to a stranger, to meet new people. In love relationships, it really boils down to chart connections. If you have chart connections, then you have the possibility of, coming together and finding that you have some shared history or shared values or shared aspirations. And when you have that combination, you can really make a relationship work. And a lot of times that just means meeting a lot of people so you can find someone with whom you can have that first stage, which is the chart connections. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making an out of sign trine to Pluto. So you have the two of you coming together in a harmonious situation that's actually maybe a little bit surprising. Like as you are doing some new things, maybe you and your partner discover that you both love that new thing, that you both love that new and different exotic food, or that route to work actually gives you guys more time to talk together or more time at home or something like that. So there is something positive that can come out of things, but it is a little bit unexpected. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury is making a sextile to Jupiter. So there is a great opportunity for you to make more money over the next 2 weeks in these areas. Sextile means you need to take some sort of action, and when you do, you get a positive result. So, and there, sorry, no and. So, as I said before, in the opening, Mercury is making an aspect to almost every planet in this chart, and so therefore the information and opportunities can come from multiple directions. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, Mercury is making in conjunct with Neptune. So this would indicate that a raise is possible if you are going to make some sort of adjustments, or if you can guide them into making some adjustments. Those adjustments might be that they only give out raises at the end of the year, or that there's some sort of lockdown on raises, but for you they'll make an exception. So you may want to wait until this energy lines up better, which it will in the future. Right now this is a little bit more difficult, but it's still an aspect, which means there's still possibilities. Okay, Gemini, when we look at this new moon combination along with Pluto in late degrees of Capricorn, the energy, it could be very much around home ownership, and you making a decision about it. And that decision might be that you do want to absolutely own a home no matter what, or it may be that you start to look at other alternatives. There's a lot of studies out there that say home ownership may not be the best way to amass money, that the stock market tends to do better over time. Maybe you can own a home, but it needs to be in a different state or a different country, or that you need to gather with family members. So there is a lot about decision making about home. If you own a home, this might be you deciding that you're going to sell and move or downsize or something like that. And I should say that the decision made over this next 2 weeks is something that then you will work on and have the repercussions of that decision over several months or even longer. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-square to Mercury. And this means that there is love possibilities, but the person gets your attention because they're irritating you, or that it doesn't feel like an easy match. So this is more about just recognizing that love is out there, that there are always possibilities, that there are different levels of how much work each possibility would be. So, just like anything in life, you can choose the hardest path, like you can choose the path to the Olympics. That would be a very hard path, or you can choose an easier path. And so if the love relationship that you're trying for is Olympic level, just expect it's going to be a lot of work. But you may want to wait until this energy lines up better, which it will very soon. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making a sextile to Jupiter. That is a very happy time. Opportunities for you guys to come together, to have fun, to really understand each other, to work out differences. That is all happening during this 2 weeks, so you really want to take advantage of it. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the moon's making an opposition to Saturn. So there is 2 different parties here. They need to come to some sort of agreement in the middle. So that is that maybe you have to adjust your prices for a situation, or that they say, they'll pay, but they're going to take a little bit longer. It may be a collaboration to make some money. So finding someone who you both can contribute and help each other to make money. So there are some real possibilities here, and opposition is something where you want to make sure that you are doing the compromise, or you're finding a way to communicate. Otherwise, it does feel like you're on opposite sides of an issue. Now, when it comes to money from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the moon's not making an aspect with Mars at this time, but Mars very, very soon is going to go into your house of money, and then you're going to have a 2 or more month period of time where you have increased ability to get more money from your career. So don't take so much action during this next 2 weeks. There may be something on the full moon. There'll certainly be something on the next new moon, which we're going to be in eclipse season at that point. So there'll be some exciting energy happening around your money for career. Okay, Cancer, when we look at this new moon and its interactions with the rest of the chart, we see a very strong need for communication in relationships. And that can be all kinds of the close relationships that you have, everything from siblings and cousins to your love relationship to your business partner. There's some need to work out a shared vocabulary and to practice some real active listening with each other. And it's, you're Cancer, so you are probably actively listening. How can you help your partner actively listen too? How can you use more words that they're used to, that they want to hear? And how can you get into a rhythm of communication that is more in line with what they need. So because, you are very intuitive, so you can do that. And that's what the energy this time is talking about. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon is not making an aspect with Pluto. You have good communication, energy, and of course, this new moon for you is all about communication and relationships. And so there is some possibilities here, but this is more about just getting the conversation started, maybe not having the first date yet. It's quite possible that your schedules won't allow it, but you can get something started just by saying hi, just by starting the communication, but the energy is going to line up better in the future. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making an opposition to Saturn. So the energy here is about coming together and finding some sort of compromise where the two of you can work something out. And it's always by starting with what are the shared values, what do you have in common, where can you help each other, and then you can deal with the areas where you have opposing views. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the sun is not making an aspect with Uranus. However, it is making an opposition to Saturn. So again, we're doing that opposition energy just like you were doing in relationships. And that is that with everything, every situation in business, you have to find the common ground first. And so that is thinking of your customer and what it is that they're really looking for and how your product or service fills that need. And then using language that really is very clear to them that this is the solution to that problem. So, or this is about finding some sort of balance if you're having to deal with a business partner or your broker or your banker, is to find something that you both agree on and then build from there. Now, I should say that while this aspect isn't the easiest, it does still say that you could make more money over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the sun is making a semi-sextile to Venus. So there is a slight chance of making a little bit more. What I would say is this probably is some sort of perk, like some extra time off, or like a free water bottle or a t-shirt that you probably don't want to wear in public anyway. So there's something here, there's something small. This energy is getting ready to line up much better in the future. So this is a time just to plant little seeds, but don't look for a big harvest quite yet. Okay, Leo, when we look at this chart and how this new moon is interacting with these other aspects, like Pluto being at late degrees of Capricorn, the overarching energy is the daily activities that you do are going to create abundance for you or put you in a state of lack. And so that is, like maybe something as simple as logging what you spend, or being aware of having each dollar have a little purpose in your life. It may be something that you feel like, you don't want to bring in that level of detail when it comes to your finances, but that's the thing that could really help now. That's the transformation that could make such a difference. And I think that's where a lot of times, people underestimate this idea of compound interest or doing something over a long period of time. And it doesn't feel like much to put $1 into savings. But if you put $1 into savings, not only is that dollar saved, but then the next day you add $1, plus there's some interest, and it just builds over time. So that's the energy that you're doing in general over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though the sun's not making an aspect with Jupiter, it's going to in like at any moment. So there's possibilities here that just feel a little bit out of reach for this new moon chart. And so as we get closer to eclipses and things like that, which start in mid-September, there's going to be some real possibilities for you. So this is some exciting news, although, love relationships that come during eclipse season can be rather like life-changing, so which can be really good. And, but still, it can feel like a lot of excitement. But right now, things just feel a little bit out of reach, so it's probably best to spend time focused on taking care of yourself and, getting other obligations out of the way. When it comes to existing love relationships, even though the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus, it's making an opposition to Saturn. So the two of you need to find some sort of common ground and really focus on that during this time. Now, of course, if you're in a love relationship, you have a lot of shared experiences and a lot of common beliefs and things like that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a couple. So it's time to focus on that and then build outward from there. So to really, if there is a point of contention, to start with what you agree with each other. And then you can tackle things going outward in like concentric circles. So that's the plan for this time. It is an aspect, so there is an opportunity to work something out, and that can really help the relationship in the long run. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury is making an inconjunct with Neptune. So there is a strong possibility of being able to get something done, but you have to do the harder thing. So you write down your list of these are the things I have to do. You look at the thing that you really don't want to do, and you do that first. That's the eat the frog option of, the Brian Tracy method of getting things done, is to do the harder thing first. This is an inconjunct, so it's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, and when you do it, it's the thing that brings the results. And then when it comes to money derived from career, and so that would be like a paycheck, you're in a pretty good place right now for getting more perks, getting more money from a job. If you are looking for a job, you can find opportunities. This is all based with Mercury that is making aspects to everything in the chart except for that sun and moon. And so it's making aspects to planets that are in that area and everything else. And so it's like a drop of water in a pond. It just ripples out and it has effects. So this is a time to put the feelers out for everything that you want in this job. The better hours, the better office, the more money, or to find a new job entirely. Okay, Virgo, this is your new moon. Therefore, it is starting your new lunar cycle. So when you start a lunar cycle, it lasts for about a year, and it means that you are in the seed planting time. So the more new things that you do over this next 2 weeks and even over the next 4 weeks, the bigger your harvest is going to be later in your cycle. So that means anything new that you can do, any way you can change your routines, any new people you can meet, all of those are really beneficial. Now, when we look at the energies of the rest of this new moon chart, what we see is a real strong push towards leadership. And that might mean that you are taking charge of your life in some sort of way, not waiting for someone else to do something for you to decide you're going to do something, even if others don't agree. This could also be you taking a leadership role at work or with your community or in the family. So, and making some really strong decisions, and kind of feeling like, whatever the consequences are of those decisions, you are going to deal with them. So the point of leadership is where you say, like right or wrong, I'm going to try this, I'll accept the consequences, and if I'm right, I'll get the rewards. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making an inconjunct with Saturn. So the energy here is that new love is possible. You have the new moon in this area that's just lighting you up, which is great. But for some reason, you really, really don't want to go out with somebody. You're feeling like the whole process of love relationships and meeting someone new just feels hard right now. And if you say, you know what, I'm just going to adjust, I'm just going to do it anyway, you could find someone who's quite an interesting match for you. Certainly not a dull relationship. Someone who is attracted to you and who wants to get to know you better. But you're the one that is reticent, you're the one that is hesitating. And so if you can just say, I'm just going to do it anyway, even though I don't want to do it, even though I don't want to go to this mixer, I don't want to go to this party, I'm going to do it anyway. And that's where you meet someone. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's making an inconjunct to Neptune. So again, we have that inconjunct energy that says the two of you are struggling with something, and you're coming from it from such different places that there's nothing compatible here. And that doesn't mean that the relationship is over by any means. This is just something where you, because it's your chart, have to make an adjustment so that you can understand where that person is coming from. It is like, one of you wants to have dessert and the other wants to go snorkeling. You cannot do those things at the same time. They're just two things that are just too different. And so there has to be a compromise in some way. It's not like you can take the cake underwater and take the mask off and take a bite every once in a while. It just won't work. This is something where, either the other person has to go snorkeling or you have to stay out of the water. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Venus is making an out-of-sign square with Mars. So there is definitely money there. It's just not easy to spot. It is doing something that is a little bit different or unexpected, or kind of maybe even breaking a rule to get something moving. And so maybe the rule is you don't call the prospect too often, but this time you're going to. Or that you suddenly launch some extra marketing, or you do a meditation, or you collaborate with somebody. Like, doing some sort of action is necessary now, and that can bring some real rewards. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is making a semi-sextile with the moon. I guess the moon could be making a semi-sextile with Venus as well. But the bottom line here is that there's a chance for a small gain right now. And this energy is going to line up so much better in the future. But right now, it's very much about small gains. So if you're just looking for a little Starbucks gift card or something like that, or a couple extra hours off of work, that's what you can get at this time. We're going to be going into, of course, eclipse season, so things are going to change pretty dramatically. So you may want to wait and do any sort of ask or negotiations for a salary increase until we get into some better energy, which you are going to have in the near future. Okay, Libra, this new moon energy, and when we consider all the other things that are going on in this chart, there's a real message here for you about creating daily practices, or more specifically spiritual practices, that give you a very solid foundation for taking on every day. And this may be something that you do in the mornings, or something you do at the end of the day to set things up for the next day's success. And this can be anything from, meditation or journaling or magic or feng shui, something where even the smallest little practice of saying an affirmation at the beginning of the day, or as you come to the close of the day, writing a few sentences about what went well and what you're grateful for, that sort of thing can set up this energy that builds over time, that really gives you this solid foundation to help you achieve what you want. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Uranus, nor is it making an aspect with Saturn. So the energy here is a little bit more about self-care than about going out into the world. And so strengthening this position that you're in about how you care about yourself, how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself. That's what to focus on. This energy is, well, there's going to be some interesting energy coming up because the eclipses are going to be coming up, and there is going to be a Libra eclipse. And so we'll be talking about that very soon. But something like an eclipse can put you on a new road for relationships. Again, we'll talk about that in upcoming videos. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making an out-of-sign square to Mars. And I've talked about the out-of-sign aspects before. The square is a rather contentious aspect where either the two of you are working together on something as a shared united front, or you are coming together and trying to work something out. The fact that it's out of sign means it's a little bit of a surprise. You didn't know that this was a point of contention, or you didn't know that you could work together so well in this area. So there's kind of a discovery happening about the two of you, and that can lead to a stronger relationship in the future. So just keep your awareness open of things that could come up where you see, oh, look, we can work together on something. We've never worked on this before, and that can help strengthen the relationship. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Venus is making an out-of-sign trine to Pluto. So really good opportunity. It's a little bit out of left field. It's a little bit different. So this could be the phone call that somebody gives you to say, let's collaborate, or maybe it's an opportunity to go speak about your products or services. It may be just bumping into somebody and renewing some sort of business collaboration, or that you get an interesting investment tip. But there is a real opportunity to make more money over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and that would be like a paycheck, the sun is not making an aspect to Pluto, nor is it making an aspect with Mars. So this is not an ideal time to bring up the prospects of an increase. Of course, if you're looking for a job, it is really helpful to start negotiating for a higher salary. But the energy in this is, if you're in an established job, this is just a time to quietly be working in the background and to focus on what you like about the job and how you can contribute at the job. And there will be opportunities, especially with the eclipses coming up, for this energy to shift in your favor. Okay, Scorpio, this energy, when we look at the new moon and the rest of the chart, there's a lot of need to really focus on community and creating friendships now, and looking at how you can expand your circles. This may mean going to some groups, or rejoining a professional organization, or being part of the community, doing some work for charity, or to connect with some friends that you haven't seen in a while, and kind of reconnect and meet their friends, etc. So this is about finding a bigger set of connections to be around, so that you've got more support and you have more people that you can draw from for information or help or other things. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, now you have a perfect sextile between Neptune and Pluto. And this is a huge opportunity for you over this next 78 days to meet somebody new, because you're going to be doing that very strong sextile during this time. So this is a time to go out and, meet people. When it comes to love relationships, it is so important to continue to meet people, because you want to meet someone with whom you have chart connections. And once you find someone you have chart connections with, which facilitates communication and sort of temperament, then you can find out if you have shared values and shared history and shared interests or shared goals, and that's how you build a relationship. When it comes to your existing love relationship, Venus is making an out-of-sign trine to Pluto. So you have the two of you having a really good time in a surprising way. Something is coming up that maybe you've never done before. Maybe you're trying something new together and you're just discovering that you love this and they love this and you can love it together. So there's some real harmonious energy here, but it does come as a little bit of a surprise. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury is making a sextile to Jupiter. So if you take an action, you get a reward. The energy is extremely good right now for making more money in these areas. So you want to take a lot of action. That could be for your business or for your investments, because the possibilities now are super strong for making more money, especially over this next 2 weeks. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, not only are you doing that same sextile, but the new moon is in this area. And so that means that there are some new possibilities for you for getting more money for your job. So, and this could involve a promotion, or maybe if you're looking for a new job, now you can negotiate for a higher salary. But the energy is so good right now. You do want to, start this conversation, get the meeting happening, because you can make your way towards your true goal of making more money. I don't know if that's your true goal. It could be a goal. So that'll still work. Okay, Sagittarius, the energy when we look at this new moon will, along with the other aspects going on in the chart, really point to this idea that the more you are seen, the more you put yourself out there, the stronger your reputation, the more success and money you're going to have. And so there's a real push right here to make it known. And that is, even if you're not on social media, that would be cultivating good connections around you at your job or in your community. This may mean taking a leadership role on. This might mean that you are expanding your circle of friends or your profile on a professional website, or maybe putting up a website. But all of these things where you become more visible helps you then make more money and be in a stronger position, financially and career-wise. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mars is not making an aspect with Jupiter. However, they are in the same sign. It's just now Mars, because Mars is a faster planet, is just separating and moving on. So there may be something where you had sort of met somebody before and you don't know where it's going. You have a possibility now to pursue that, but in general, what's going to happen is everything is shifting and you're going to meet a new set of people outside of this 2-week period, and that's where possibilities are going to happen. So, the way that the chart is lined up for you, you go through longer periods where you can meet someone, and then you'll have periods where it's just not your focus. And you're coming into a time where it's just not going to be your focus. Well, I should say you're in that now, and because you seem to be moving away from it. So if this is a goal that you have, you've got a little bit of energy right now because Mars and Jupiter are in the same sign and in a relationship house, but you have to act fairly quickly because you're going to come into a time where you need to wait to be found and your focus is just going to be elsewhere. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the moon's making an opposition to Saturn. So with an opposition, what's necessary is to find the common ground and then build from there. So the two of you are on opposite sides and you need to come to the center and find, what territory you share. So this can be that, if you're talking with your broker, to come up with a shared language so that you can communicate well. If you're talking to a business partner, it may be very similar. Like, what do you both agree about? And then move on from there. And this can be, with your business, this can be focusing on what you already do well, rather than going to the outliers where you're taking a big risk. This is more about sticking with the tried and true and focusing on what you really can do and that's what helps you expand. Now, this still is an aspect, so it's likely over the next 2 weeks you're going to make more money than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. It is probably not a good idea to broach the topic in an existing job situation. That said, there is new moon energy in your area of career, which indicates that if you're looking for a new job, you absolutely need to go in negotiating for the higher salary. If you want a higher salary at your current job, you will have to look for another position. And that means, like a change of maybe departments or locations or bosses or some sort of shift like that. So there are these possibilities, but it's just not quite as strong as it will be coming up. So you're going to see much more energy in this area as we get towards the eclipses, which we're going to be starting in just a couple of weeks with the full moon. And so we'll talk about that more in future videos. But right now, this is a time where you can absolutely find something new, and that will give you more opportunities to make more money. But in your current job, with the same duties and the same hours, it is difficult. Okay, Capricorn, this new moon and the other factors that we were talking about in the opening about this chart indicate that over this next 2 weeks, you're really looking about expanding your horizons. That might be through travel or through education or through some spiritual journey or looking at religion. But that's where the focus is to look for something bigger. So if you're going back to school at this time, or if you do have some travel plans, you're right in line with the energies. Otherwise, this may be through books or studies or private tutors. This is a time to look at making your world bigger. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn. However, Venus is very elevated in your chart right now, which means that you could be quite noticeable, or that other people see you and may be considering you for a love relationship, but you're not noticing them because your head is elsewhere. But if you're out and about, a friend might nudge you and say, hey, that person is, just asked you out on a date or something like that. But otherwise, this energy is going to line up better in the future. We also have some eclipses coming up very soon, and the Libra eclipse will make some aspects most likely to your Capricorn energy. So there's going to be some changes in this area. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making an opposition to Saturn. So the energy here now is about finding some sort of common ground in any sort of disagreement that you're having. That is to establish first what you do agree on, what the shared values are, the shared history is, so that you can then move to where the points of contention are to work something out. Now, this is an aspect, so it does mean that you can work things out, but if you stick to being just opposite each other or really highlighting the differences, that will stop you from coming together. So first start with what do we agree on, and then you can work out from there. Now, when it comes to money from business and from investments, the sun is not making an aspect with Uranus. However, it is making an opposition to Saturn. And that indicates that you can make more money when you come to some sort of agreement. So that might mean that you are signing a contract with someone, or that you are working on some sort of agreement. This could be with the new vendors or perhaps a business partner. This may be where you're sitting down with your broker and you need to find some sort of common language or shared understanding before you move forward. They may be talking about things that aren't important to you, or talking about things that are outside of your risk tolerance. So the more you can come together in the center, that's, with an opposition, it's kind of think of it as like you're on a seesaw. And so it's big swings back and forth while you're on the edges, but as you come together in the center, then from there, then there is that common balance and that positive energy. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and so that would be a paycheck, you're doing some very good energy right now. That is that Uranus is making a trine to Pluto. This is because Pluto is back in Capricorn now, so you're doing, it's not out of sign, it's just a natural trine. This is extremely good time for you to ask for a raise, look for making more money through making some sort of change in the job. With you, the Venus elevated, your reputation is strong right now. So this is the perfect time to sit down and start that process of talking to your supervisor about getting more money or more perks or more benefits. Okay, Aquarius, when we look at this new moon placement, as well as, the other things that we were talking about in the opening, everything here leads to it's time to start doing or recommence doing the magical side of life or the spiritual side of your life. And that is to, when you think about all of the things that you want out there, maybe love or money or a new job or anything, if you only go about it in the conventional way, you're competing then with everybody else in the world. But if you co-create with the universe, and that is doing meditation or affirmations or using crystals or doing some feng shui, doing those things aligns yourself, your intellectual self, your physical self with your spiritual self, and it's easier then to reach people who are in alignment with that energy. And so someone who might owe you from a past life suddenly realizes who you are, or the universe reaches out and is kind of your emissary to pave the way for you. So this is what you should be working on, is finding spiritual practices that you feel comfortable with, that over time will grow in power and strength. And so looking at meditation, affirmations, those personal things you can do, but also things you do in the house, such as feng shui or burning incense or lighting candles or using crystals, things like that, which have a really strong effect over time. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury's making a square to Uranus. There is some really positive energy out there for meeting someone new. You've got a new moon lighting up your house of intimacy, so you can find someone with whom you have good physical chemistry. You can find someone where the two of you just come together very quickly. So this is a great time to be out there in social situations, or let somebody fix you up on a date, or start some conversations on online dating sites. But this is a very good time for you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though the sun's not making an aspect with Uranus, it is making an aspect with Saturn, and that is an opposition. So the two of you may have some sort of point of contention that can be solved if you start with what you share together. And that is, what's your shared history, creating a shared vocabulary so that you're talking about the same thing at the same time, or finding what you have in common or what you agree with each other about this particular topic, and then work on the problem from there. Something big could be solved during this time, and that could cause the two of you to be closer together, which can be very helpful because we are entering eclipse season where things can get a little disruptive. So it's really good to work out something now where the two of you are in a stronger relationship as we go into September and October. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, you have some really interesting energy because Mercury's making an inconjunct to Neptune, but the new moon is there as well. So this is a new opportunity, a new financial opportunity. It may be outside of your comfort zone. It may cause you to do things you've never done before, stepping out of the zone or the rut that you have been stuck in to do something brand new. But there are some really good possibilities for making an initial profit and to see more profits down the road. And this may be some sort of investment that's new to you or some business opportunity. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, there's no aspect going on between Jupiter and Neptune. And right now, it is more likely that you could get some sort of perk That's what I would lean toward. If you're looking for more time off, or maybe some opportunity to get some sort of discounts, or maybe they give you like a free t-shirt or something like that. I'm seeing that sort of energy around you, but otherwise this is not the best 2-week period to be asking about a raise. There may be changes going on in the company that you don't know about that are going to be revealed as we get closer to the eclipses. So this is more of a time where you just want to strengthen your position by making good contacts at work. Okay, Pisces, when we look at this new moon and how it is affecting relationships and connections of all kinds, and we factor in the other things going on in this chart, there's a real energy here for taking acquaintances and people you don't know well and bringing them closer into your life to make them meaningful connections. And that can be around something like business connections as well as friendships. There is a lot of energy here for widening your circle of friends, who have more connections, to meet the friends of your friends, or to get involved in groups and organizations that then lead to close friendships and good business connections. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though the moon's not making a connection with Neptune, your house of relationships is lit up with this new moon, and so there are some real strong possibilities. It is likely, though, that this new love would be in and amongst someone you already know, so that maybe you know them through your work, or they were somebody you met at a meeting before and you hadn't considered them, and now they're asking you out. So the possibilities here are connected to people you're already acquainted with, where a relationship becomes a love relationship. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's making an inconjunct to Neptune, and you have the new moon energy. So it's almost like you're discovering a point of contention between the two of you that you didn't know existed, that you are discovering that the two of you have extremely different views about something, and or that you have very different interests in something that you thought maybe were similar, but it turns out it's not. And so with an inconjunct energy, there's kind of a disconnect, and the way to connect again is by adjusting. So, and I had to give this example to another sign, but this is like your partner really wants to have chocolate cake and you want to go snorkeling. Like, those two things cannot happen at the same time. So therefore, one or both of you have to make an adjustment. And because it's your chart, you're the one making adjustments. So no snorkeling for you. You're up on the shore, either watching your partner eat the cake or you're sharing the cake together. But in this, there has to be some sort of adjustment. And when you make the adjustment, it's like a whole new world opens up because the new moon is there. So it's really good to make the adjustment, and whatever it is, to just try it and see if it's not better than you thought. When it comes to money derived from business and from investments, Venus is making an out-of-sign square to Mars. There is some definite money that can be made, but because it's an out-of-sign square, it may not be the most obvious actions to take. So sometimes that means that you have to do different marketing techniques, or you have to maybe drill down into something you're doing and get a little bit more detailed about it. It's possible that you just have a random conversation with someone that then turns into a big sale or an investment tip. But this aspect's very strong for making more money over this next 2 weeks when you take some unexpected action. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Mars is not making an aspect with Saturn. There's going to be some opportunities later this year, but not right now. This is the time to really strengthen the relationships that you have with your supervisor and your coworkers, so that they really understand the contribution that you're making, basically laying the foundation for asking for more money later. So if you are meeting new people during this time, like you're interviewing for a new job, you certainly should be asking for more money, but it may be possible that even then it's delayed, where they say, let's start you out at this, and then in a few months we'll talk about it. So there's because the aspect isn't lined up, it's a little bit difficult right now to make more money in this area, but it is really easy to establish good connections that then you can use later to parlay into actual cash. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a little shorter than usual because maybe we're covering, but we do have the eclipses coming up, so we'll have some big detailed information about that. I'll be working on that next. And I'm also posting a lot of new videos, so I hope you'll check those out. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.